Good evening and good night. This is update for April 28, 2022, day 64 of the war, end of the date update. We start with a strategic update. So today, US passed a land-lease law that allows Ukraine to acquire, heavy weapons, including self-propelled howitzers such as M109, fighter airplanes such as F-16. That creates new opportunities for Ukraine to defend itself. It also it pushes Russia to more aggressive actions at the same time, which that means is probably declaration of the war is almost a given, or at least the probability has risen significantly, including drafting of the conscripts and full-scale Russian army. And also that really means that Russia will probably soon actively start hitting all of the bridges across Dnipro River in order to prevent heavy weapons from reaching in large quantities to the front line in Donbass, because that will be it will have significant effect on Russian troops. So that really intensifies the war. So we probably will see, major developments in a month or two when new weapons will arrive in relatively large quantities. Because so far, we are aware of howitzers M777, 90 of them arriving. Well, some of them arrived to Ukraine, at least half, and the remaining half is probably on the way to Ukraine. But that is not enough, simply in our opinion, to make huge difference. It's probably enough howitzers for 1.5 brigades, basically. So just to give a perspective. So having said that, let's now move to the frontline walkthrough, and we will do it in a clockwise fashion, starting from the north Kharkiv region. There are changes there. So Ukrainian troops there attacked Russian troops at village of Ruska Lozova and managed to push them front line a little bit. Also, Ukrainian troops captured the gray zone that basically nobody controlled, village of Tsyrkuny and Kutuzove here. We don't see it because the village is too small. An interesting moment here is this is really local attack. This is nothing major, not major offensive. This is just more like initiative of the local troops here. The more important note here that they captured prisoners of war from the Russian side. And it's very clear that this front line is basically manned by forced conscripts from Donetsk region, which was captured by Russia in 2014. So, and they definitely don't have any fighting spirit or desire, and they easily surrender. And more important, they don't have skills, and that's probably why they surrender so easily. So it does seem that Russia has been pulling all of their most motivated and battle-ready troops to Izyum bridgehead, even from here, because if you remember, we mentioned that there was some units from 144th Division that were pulled to Izyum bridgehead, so we wouldn't be surprised that even more troops were pulled from here, and that's why Ukrainian side is able to push or kind of squeeze gently Russian troops closer to the border. So now let's keep going. Let's look at what's going on at Izyum bridgehead, which one of the most not one of the, but this is the most important part of the front line right now, as this is Russian attempt to form northern pincer in attempt to encircle Ukrainian troops on the Donbass salient. So let's look what's going on here. And in summary, there is not many changes here. Russian troops tried to attack towards Barvinkove along this major road here. Also, they attempted to attack village of Novo Dmytrivka. So those were focuses of their attack today, but they didn't have any progress. Now let's look at the Ukrainian bridgehead on the eastern side of Siverski Donetsk River. Here there was surrender of the part of the company from the 79th Brigade, somewhere near village of Yampil, and this was a result of Russian attack on it. It's unclear if Russian troops managed to capture Yampil or not. So for now, it doesn't seem so, but it's possible. Once we have reasonable confirmation, we'll update accordingly. That's why we put a question mark. There were some questions in the comment section about the major railroad line that helps supply Ukrainian troops in the Donbas salient, and also major road. So the railroad line goes like this here from like kind of like this through Barvinkove, and then it's going here, and then it goes to Slavyansk. So, and the road there as well. So it's just kind of like one big transportation artery that's going here. And you can see that Russian troops essentially about 10 kilometers away from it, which also means that it could be potentially shelled already by their artillery. So let's keep going. Let's look at the tip of Donbas salient here at the town of Severodonetsk. So nothing new here. Also nothing new south of Severodonetsk. After Russian troops captured village of Nizhny and Novotoshkivske, there is no major progress. There is fighting going on inside of the village of Orikhiv, and Russian troops control majority of the village. So Ukrainian troops somewhere on outskirts of this village. Let's keep going a little bit more south to just look at the front line around town of Popasna, which is another point of Russian attack. And this is what's going on here. So you can see that Russian troops kind of made a dent here in Ukrainian defenses, and the Popasna itself is kind of like a salient. So from our information, it's only possible to deliver supplies there at night because it's semi-encircled, it's a salient. So, and it's kind of like a narrow peninsula where Russian troops can easily shoot anything that moves during the day. And as we mentioned before, this is where Wagner mercenaries operating, and also 57 Brigade. So let's keep going. There is nothing here in terms of actual attacks in this stretch of the front line, so we're not going to look at this. And then we're going to just move to the front line west of Donetsk. So here, Russian troops, as always, attacking town of Avdiivka, and the other point of their application of their forces is the village of Mar'inka and Novomikhailivka, but there is no progress here. Situation is stable, no changes here. Let's keep going. Now we're going to look at this stretch of the front line from town of Vuhledar to town of Vasilivka. We call it a Zaporizhia front line. So and that's another important, it's a second in importance to Izyum bridgehead because it forms southern pincer of Russian attempt to encircle. So that's important to watch here. So what we see here that Russian troops a couple days ago made relatively big dent in Ukrainian defenses and kind of formed salient here as well by pushing Ukrainian forces. There's no new reports of any other progress by Russian troops. We have a question mark around the village of Stepove, as very high chance that it was captured in that attack that happened a couple days ago, but there are no formal reports. We don't have confirmation, so for now we keep it as in Ukrainian hands. There were attacks on the village of Malinivka, but so far, based on our information, it's still in Ukrainian hands. Then there were attacks on town of Hulaypolo, which is major stronghold here, along with the village of Velyka Novosilka. Those so as you can see, defenses here formed not as a contiguous front line, but more like a strongholds. And obviously they built, because the terrain here is super flat, super open. There's essentially no no forests, very few trees. So it's like flat as a table, we call it. And so in this case, you're really relying on any any kind of buildings and anything like that. Any villages or small towns is kind of natural support for defense. So as you can see, that's why the front line here is kind of formed. Strongholds are being formed around towns or villages. So let's continue to the west. So now we're going to look at this kind of western part of the front line here, the Persia front line. So there was major attack yesterday on town of Orikhiv, and the Russian troops managed to actually break through into the town, but based on our reports, they were repelled, and the town and the front line was restored, and Ukraine holds the whole town. So that's and then another thing that we would like to mention about International Volunteers Legion. Russian intelligence managed to get all of the information from Ukrainian side that they got the list of the volunteers, and it's current as of beginning of April. So we posted the link on the community tab. So if you'd like to see, there is a link to website that list all of those volunteers from different countries with their names and so on. In addition, about international volunteers, we found out that one volunteer from the UK died. He was 36-year-old. He was killed in action. Another one from the UK missing in action, and 2 more wounded. So that's update on international volunteers that we have at this point. In terms of, there were some questions about Chechen volunteers. All we know that they are here on front line in Kamensk. It's possible. It's not just that. So just explain how it works. It's kind of like a core of them is there, but it's totally possible that small group could be somewhere like some other small groups can be in other areas. So don't think that this is the only place for Chechen volunteers, or the same goes true for any other volunteers, right? So they could be dispersed around the whole front line, but one unit that's sort of representative of them, main unit, is here in Kamensk. So now let's look at this, let's call it Kherson bridgehead, Russian bridgehead on the western bank of Dnipro River, which, as we mentioned before, is the main goal is to protect this freshwater supply from Dnipro River to Crimea. So let's look actually at that. There are no changes here in the north. There are small changes here in the south. Russian troops again attacked village of Tavrisky and managed to capture it and now control it. This is not updated, and I apologize. I will update it for tomorrow to switch it to the new sort of format that we've been doing so far. But this is a little bit outdated map. But Russian troops now control this. This is very sort of minimal tactical gain. This is not a major attack or anything. This is just what's called tactical improvement of the position. So that's it for today. We don't have any more updates. Another update we would like to announce that we're working on the video about Russian assault on the town of Rubijn, which is near Severodonetsk here, and this is going to be more tactical perspective. Like, it's going to be tactical discussion of how everything was happening from a Russian perspective, because the source is Russian. So this is their view of how things are happening, and we believe it's going to be interesting for many viewers, and we will post it tomorrow as a standalone video. Okay, that's it for tonight. Thanks again for everyone for watching and supporting, and until tomorrow, bye-bye.